Here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of what we call pre-reading doesn't actually build reading. Alphabet posters, sight word flashcards, reading more books. Parents hear this advice everywhere and they follow it deliberately and then wonder why their child still struggles. The problem isn't effort. The problem is that these strategies skip the foundation the reading brain actually needs. I'm Rebecca. I've been teaching reading for 15 years, and today I'm going to walk you through the 4 biggest pre-reading myths and what science says to do instead. Pre-reading advice is everywhere, and much of it sounds logical. Teach letters early, memorize sight words, and expose kids to as much print as possible. But reading isn't a natural process. It's not absorbed through exposure, and it's definitely not built through memorization alone. Reading is a neurological skill with a sequence. And when we skip that sequence, kids struggle even when they're smart and motivated. So let's walk through the 4 biggest myths that keep parents stuck and what actually works instead. Myth number 1. If kids know their letters, they're ready to read. Letter knowledge is important, but letter names alone don't teach reading. A child can sing the alphabet perfectly and still have no idea how reading works. Why? Because reading doesn't start with letters, it starts with sounds. Research shows that phonemic awareness, which is the ability to hear and manipulate individual sounds, is the strongest predictor of reading success. So instead of, that's the letter B, we need, this sound is B. Let's hear it, stretch it, blend it. Letters matter, but sounds come first. Myth number 2. Sight words should be memorized early. This one is everywhere. Flashcards, sight word walls, the constant advice to just memorize it. But here's the problem. Memorization bypasses the reading system. When kids memorize words visually, they're not learning to read, they're learning to guess. And that strategy collapses the moment words get longer or more complex. The brain stores words for reading through orthographic mapping, which requires phonemic awareness, letter sound knowledge, and repeated decoding. Strong readers don't have better memories, they have better sound symbol connections. Myth number 3. More books equals better readers. Reading aloud is powerful, but it's not the same as reading instruction. Exposure to books builds vocabulary, background knowledge, and language structure, but exposure alone doesn't teach kids how to read the words on a page. Parents hear, just read more constantly, so they read to their kids every night. But some of those kids still struggle. Here's why. Decoding isn't absorbed through exposure. It has to be explicitly taught. Reading aloud becomes powerful when you combine it with sound instruction, which is talking about sounds while you read, pointing out how words work. Books are an essential tool, but they're not the instruction itself. Myth number 4. Pre-reading should be playful, not explicit. This sets up a false choice. You can absolutely be playful and explicit at the same time. Kids can play with sounds, clapping syllables, stretching phonemes, and building words with their bodies. The problem isn't that play doesn't work. The problem is unstructured exposure without a clear learning target. What works is play with purpose. Like short sound routines where kids know exactly what they're practicing, or oral blending games with a specific skill focus. Fun activities that actually build phonemic awareness. You don't have to choose between joyful and effective, you can have both. So what actually works? It starts with phonemic awareness, teaching kids to blend, segment, and manipulate sounds. Then you layer in systematic letter sound instruction that's explicit and sequential, where each skill builds on the last. Move on with language-rich conversations that build vocabulary and sentence structure. Finally, you teach print awareness, how words move across the page, where they begin and end. None of this is flashy, but it's what actually builds strong readers. If you've tried things that didn't work, it's not because you didn't do enough. It's because you were given incomplete information. And the good news? Pre-reading doesn't require early pressure. It requires the right sequence, clear instruction, and trust in how the brain learns to read. When you let go of myths, we make space for mastery. There are a ton of free resources to help you get started. You can check out the link below for phonics worksheets and lesson plans. And if this was helpful, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which myth surprised you the most. And check out the How Kids Learn to Read playlist in the end screen. It walks you through everything the science of reading tells us about reading development. I'll see you next time.